Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Redeem Her Time podcast. I am here with my new friend, Amy Lowe, and we're going to be talking today around digital freedom. What I love is that Amy specifically works in a context where she's encouraging people to put tech down. And so I thought, what a great person to bring on the conversation, because we all know way too much of our time is going to our tech, especially our phones. I call it the extra appendage. And then when we do that, how does that then not only change our time, but also help us to reclaim our peace, our presence, our connection, so that we're not always distracted. So, Amy, I'm really excited to welcome you today. First of all, before we dive into what you do, tell us who you are. Like, what does life look like in a season where you're balancing things like leadership and ministry and family and just being a woman in this world?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I am married to Matt. We've been married for 20 years. I have two teenagers, a boy and a girl. So that's the season that I'm in. I'm a camp director and have been in camping ministry in some form or fashion for almost 20 years, most recently as the girls' camp and family camp director for Women Shape Camps. So we run camps all summer long for girls and for families. And we also have boys camp and day camps across the country, but I'm over those two specific ones. And I just love what I get to do every day. The summer is so fun. We get to kind of bring childhood back, I think,
Ah.
to kiddos in a really sweet and beautiful way. And that's where I am right now. So I love it so much. It's such a great gift and a great ministry that I get to be a part of. That's where I
Yeah, it's so interesting thinking about like what summers were like for you and I, right? When we didn't
Yes.
have something we were
Yeah,
tethered to all the time, we actually got outside and
that's
went
right.
and did things. And so, such value in that. And yet, the sad story is, as women, as adults, we still need it too,
Yes.
right? So, I'm curious, like, what first made you passionate about helping families, helping people think more intentionally about technology and connection and presence? Where did that
Yeah.
start come from?
I am passionate about this because I'm a mom and I see the effects of tech on my kids. I, when my kids were born, is right when the iPhone was coming out and it was so new and the iPad and we were just amazed by it and it was so fun and again it just drew you in, but we did not know then about how it would how it would suck us in. And so I have just seen the effects of tech on my kids and I want to do a good job of stewarding that with them. And then I also see the beautiful benefits of not having technology every single week of the summer at camp. Our girls that come to camp don't have technology
Mm.
and our staff don't have technology. Listen, it's so fun to see our staff that come back for year two because they come back for year two and they can't wait to give us their phone. They're like, okay, where's the basket? Like, I'm ready to
Right.
turn it in. Like, here it is. Because they realized at first they were scared about it and nervous about it.
Mm.
But then they realized, again, like you said, how tethered we are to it and how much freedom can come from not having it connected to you all the time. And I
Yeah.
see girls come out of their shell. I see girls that are a little anxious at the beginning of the week. And then parents pick up their daughters at the end of the week and they tell me, over and over again, this is what they tell me. They say, I got my daughter back.
Oh.
And it's just because they were outdoor in nature. They were at camp with wonderful people. We were learning about Jesus. They had counselors that loved them and they didn't have technology. And
Right.
it's that beautiful secret sauce. So I see it day in and day out, both as a mom
Yeah. Yeah.
and also as a camp director.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think as I'm listening to that, I'm thinking we lead by example, right? So if our
Yep.
kids or our grandkids or even our friends are seeing us on our phone all the time, I mean, it's so sad
Yep.
when you walk, you're standing in line at the store and nobody's talking, everybody's on their phone or, wherever you are, it's like we have to
Yeah.
fill every little void with it. And yeah,
Yes.
it is actually costing us. And so we want to dive into that a little bit today. I read a book a couple of years ago that talked about the fact that studies show the average person spends 4 hours and 37 minutes a day on their phone, and that's just average. So some of our listeners are
Mhm.
double that. So I
Yep.
did the math. I was a former English teacher, middle school teacher, and of math as well. And it's just shy of 100 days a year. If you take out the time you should be sleeping. And we say
Wow.
we don't have time.
Hmm.
We give away 100 days of our life
Hmm.
to a
Hmm.
device for what?
Yep.
And we wonder why we feel like we don't have time and why we feel so disconnected. So
And stressed.
yeah, and
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
right? So
Hmm.
let's dive into kind of what problems this is causing. Like, how do you think technology is quietly not only impacting our time, because obviously 4.5 hours, what could you do with 4.5 hours, right? That would be much
Yeah.
more valuable. But how
Mhm.
is it affecting other things like our peace, our focus, our ability to show up fully present and be in a relationship? What are you seeing?
Yes. I'm seeing all of those things. I think that we are so easily distracted by it. And again, it's just so easy to pick up and draw us in, and we continue to do it over and over again. So, our focus, I know for me, that has been the case. Like, my focus, I used to be able to focus so much better and be able to like put my head down and get things done. But whenever you get distracted by your phone, you step away, you have to come back and you have to like get on the bandwagon again, and that makes it hard. And again, no wonder we're so tired and stressed out and anxious, and we just see all these negative effects of it. And whenever you can put the two together and realize they really do impact each other, one is causing the other, then that's a good eye-opening moment to make some changes.
Yeah, and I think they say right now that our attention span is even less than a goldfish. Like
Yes,
that's really
yes,
sad
yes,
that we can't
yes,
pay attention
yes,
for more than like 6 seconds, I
yes,
think it is.
yes.
Because you're right, we're always I call it the ring
Hmm.
ding ping, right? These things are
Yes,
always coming at us.
yes.
And
There
even
was
if you don't,
you finished.
I was just gonna say, even if you don't have your phone in front of you, a lot of times you've got it on your wrist and you're constantly
Yes,
being buzzed all day long.
yes, yes.
I made a really intentional decision this is nothing against anyone who has an Apple Watch, but I made a very intentional decision not to get one. In fact, the watch
Hmm.
I chose doesn't even have numbers on it. It literally just has like I can just
The
tell which
time.
direction it is, right? Like it doesn't even have
Yeah,
it doesn't have
yeah.
any lines. It
Hmm.
would drive my husband
Yes,
crazy. He's like, "How do you
yep,
know what time it is?" I'm like, "Well, I don't
yes,
need to know everything exact. I just have to know, what is it
yes,
time for?" So,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
So when
For
you're
me,
working with
I only have my Garmin watch in the summer. That's the only time I use it. I put it up the rest of the year because the summer I need it with
Sure.
all the communication that comes at me in my role. But you're right. If I can put it away, the more away from me it is, then the easier it is to not be distracted by it.
Yeah, yeah. And we're not here to like say, go throw your phone out, flush it down the toilet or whatever. Like there are good, healthy things. You're communicating with your staff, really important. I was just sending some voice messages to people that I've been having conversations with, that things that they shared with
Yeah.
me. There are good things. And yet, I think there are a lot of things that people really crave that
Mm-hmm.
technology promises, or we think it's going to give it to us, but it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
really fully deliver. So, what might be some of those things,
Mm-hmm.
especially as you're watching
Yeah.
this played out at camp, that you
Mm-hmm.
see that we really
Mm-hmm.
want?
Yeah. I think belonging and connection with others, we think we're getting that with technology because we can, see their lives going on Facebook, what people post, but you and I both know that's not the full story. And that kind of knowledge doesn't really satisfy the soul of like the same way that a person to person contact does. I think true living in the moment, gratitude, living with a sense of a greater purpose. We rely on tech for so much, but then it makes us
Yeah.
cynical and jaded. And again, when I think about camp, these girls that are with us might be with us for a week, they might be with us for 2 weeks, but they get to know each other
Mm,
so deeply because there's nothing to distract them.
mm,
And it's neat. They don't see so many of them come back to camp year after year, the same week or the same session, and they don't really connect with these girls except for at camp, but you see them reunite at the beginning of the week and they're so happy to see each other and they hug and they just jump right back in, and they really do create these deep connections because they look each other in the eye, they share about things that are on their heart with each other, they're able to just again be out in nature. It's just camp is not the answer to everything, but it really does show me the benefit of taking a break from technology and getting outside and just what that does for you.
yeah, I love that. Yeah, you're actually looking people in the eye. They're not seeing the top of your head. You're
Nope.
having real back and forth conversation
Yep.
in real time.
Yep.
Wow, what a difference. And yeah, I love
Yep.
that. And what I'm hearing is there's intentionality around it. right? And
Yeah.
so if somebody
Yeah.
comes to camp, like when your family camp or your girls' camp, of course they're going to turn in their phone or not bring it with them.
Right.
But I'm curious about like, okay, what happens when they go home? Or as I'm thinking about
Mhm.
my audience, right? I'm not going to summer camp this summer anymore. I've, kind of beyond that and some
Yeah.
other things, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think that healthy technology stewardship actually looks like in everyday life when I'm not in vacation mode or at camp? It's not a forced,
Mhm.
all or nothing type of thing. And it
Mhm.
is it is nearby and it is available. How do we
Yeah.
how do we start approaching that so it doesn't suck up all our time and attention and put us right back where we were?
Yeah. Well, I can speak to myself. I think for me, being aware of what it's doing to us and being equipped with that knowledge was a big piece for me. So educating yourself, and because the there's so much out there now about what it's doing to our brains and our connections, and we see the benefits, but the research is there. And so that really helped me, because it helped me to say I don't want those benefits that I'm seeing on the bad side. And so it made me just more aware of turning the phone off, putting it down, especially with your when you're with your family for family moments. You
Yeah.
can't ask your family members to do that if you're not doing the same thing. And then I think at the same time, educate your kids as best you can, so that they are equipped with the knowledge and what the phone is doing to them, so that when they leave the nest, they are ready to live with it well and to have those boundaries. That's something that I'm really trying to focus on right now as best I can, to help my kids have a healthy, good relationship with it and know how to turn it off and know when to put it down, and the benefits of doing that, and then the downfalls of the technology as well, so that they're aware.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that you brought up the word boundaries. I know it's one of those words like we have this love-hate relationship with, but when you think about putting boundaries around someone like technology, it's
Mm-hmm.
limiting the amount of time this is going to be able to,
Yeah.
take and the impact
Mm-hmm.
that it has that can be
Yeah.
taken away from these, like you said, other people, other things,
Mm-hmm.
callings, projects. My audience is
Mm-hmm.
Christian women business owners. We've got businesses and ministries we're running.
Yeah.
I got to protect that too. And so some healthy
Yeah.
boundaries go there. So give us a couple practical ideas because we're going to be
Mm-hmm.
kind of segueing here towards the end into a
Yeah.
challenge that I host every
Mm-hmm.
July that's going
Mm-hmm.
to encourage you. So I want you, listeners, I want you to listen right now because I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
challenge you to set one technology boundary for just a week. We're going to
Mm-hmm.
start with just a week. But what maybe are some practical
Mm-hmm.
ways that we
Yeah.
could set some boundaries that would help reset this relationship with our technology, especially in the
Yeah.
summertime, but it doesn't necessarily have to be.
Totally. Mm-hmm. I think Sabbath is a good start. Um, for us, we try to put the phones away Saturday at dinner ish, and then we all try to do it, put them away, and then don't get them back out until after church on Sunday. And so that has been a nice rhythm for us. And again, we all do it. It's
Yeah.
not just the kids, it's not just us, it's we all do it. I think don't have the phone at the dinner table. I
Mm.
think look people in the eye. So if you're having a conversation with somebody in like your kid or your spouse, don't have the phone in your hand. Put it down. And what I try to do is they know that I have to use my phone for work, like so
Sure.
many of us do. And I tell them if I have to pick it up for a reason, I usually just verbally tell them, hey, y'all, I'm having to text somebody real fast about a work thing. I'll be right off at like so
Mm.
that they know I'm not scrolling social media.
Mm.
I'm not listening to something, music or anything. It's like I'm doing one quick work thing, verbalize it, put it down, put it away, and don't let it suck me
Yeah.
in. I think, find times this summer that you can put the tech away. And then I think the summer's a great time to play around and find some things that you want to do that will help you here with the boundaries, like you mentioned. But the fall, I think, is a great time to reset as well. Right when school starts, you're starting those new rhythms. So you can really like dive in July, dive in the summer, try some things, and then come up with your plan for the fall when school starts. And then you have a plan. Here we go. We've all talked about it. We know what our boundaries are. So it's great timing, I think, to think about that.
Yeah, I love those ideas. I love the Sabbathing your phone. I love the idea of like putting your phone to bed before you go to bed. I know
Yes.
people sometimes, like they don't wake up their phone until they've spent time in the Word, so scripture
Mm,
before screens, like things,
yeah.
just like you said, there's so many different little ways that are going
Yes.
to have a ripple effect and then can lead to
Yes.
more. I think, yes, we think it has to be
Yes.
this all or nothing, but what
A
would it look
hundred
like
percent.
to pick it up less? I want to
Yep.
say, okay, that same book said, I don't have the number right in front of me. I want to say we, on average, we touch our phone 2,617 times a day. When
Yeah.
you think about what if we touch scripture that often, or just another
Yes.
human, what difference would
Yeah.
that make? So let's talk back. Let's kind
Yes.
of tie this back into the benefit on the positive side, right? The way it gives us our time back, the way it helps us to steward
Yes.
our attention. What starts
Hmm.
changing when and especially like we can't just put it on our kids or our grandkids, like we got to own it
Yep.
first. So when
Hmm.
we become more intentional about where our attention is going each day and not so much of it going to
Yeah.
devices, what kind of changes can we expect?
I think it makes you appreciate the moments that you have. It helps you live with gratitude, more lightness. I just feel lighter when I'm not tethered to it and when I've pushed it away. I think for me, my kids are getting close to being out of the nest. I mean, the countdown is truly on.
It comes
And
fast.
I want to treasure the days. And no matter how old your kids are, you want to treasure the days. You don't want the finish line to come when they're 18 and headed off to college and look back
Yeah.
and think about all the things that you missed because you were so caught up in your phone. And so that alone helps me to like tell myself, Amy, put it down. Like
Right.
focus on these kids, focus on your husband, focus on like what is right in front of you. The phone will be there. You can check it later, and again, those boundaries are really helpful. But I think for me it's treasuring the moments that I have. My grandmother, who passed away in her 90s, she was one of my favorite people, and my dad asked her what her favorite time of her life was, and she like had lived a wonderful full life, and she told him that her favorite time of her life was when her kids were little.
Hmm.
And I have never forgotten that because I was like, if my grandmother, who was died when she was 95, thought that her favorite time of her life was when her kids were still in her house, like that is me right now.
Hmm.
And you don't want to miss that.
Yeah.
You don't want to miss that. So you want to put it down, I promise. I think we
Yeah.
all do. I'm so glad you're doing this and we're cheering each other on. And I'm so happy to share my ideas. I want to hear other people's ideas because I think we're all in this together and we
Yeah.
all want to live our lives with intentionality and purpose.
Hmm.
And and that takes intentionality and focus.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Right. And I loved how you just helped us think about not just what feels like important in the moment, because how often
Mm-hmm.
do we spend time on something that doesn't matter 10 years from now, let
Mm-hmm.
alone 10 minutes from now, let alone 90 years from now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
How do we
Mm-hmm.
live with intentions that we don't have that regret? And that doesn't mean we do it perfectly.
Nope,
But I think when we're
never. I never.
always in the moment, right, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
I got to go look
Mm-hmm.
this up right now or I got to respond to this right now, what are we
Yeah,
missing out on, right? What is that right now thing that isn't going to be there 5 minutes from
yeah,
now or 5 years from now or 50 years from
yeah.
now that we want to get our time? And so I think this is just a really
That's right.
practical way that we
Mm-hmm.
can put it down and say, this is what it's time for. And that's one of the signature things that I come back. In fact,
I
I will
love it.
offer up to everybody listening, if you don't have it yet, we have a Redeem Her Time screensaver. Let me see if I can show mine for those who are watching on video. So that way it says, what is it time for? Phone or no phone? And then it has our Ephesians 5 verse on here about redeeming the time. Because I think this
Love
is
it.
one of the main places we have to pause and ask that question before I actually,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
turn this thing on. And so if we have some triggers that are helping us to go, wait, is this really what it's time for right now? Wait, I don't think
Nope.
so. Right. And then we
Nope.
can come back to
Nope.
it when it is. So I
Yep.
love this because, this is helpful any time of year, but I think especially as we're right here in the middle of summer because,
Yep.
we can feel both connected and disconnected at the exact same time. And so I am really going to encourage our listeners to think about what is a healthy boundary that you would be willing to commit to for 1 week, right? Let's
Mm-hmm.
pretend like we're going to camp with Amy. And I want to hear more about your camp in just a minute.
Love
That
it.
will just help you start resetting that relationship. So again, whether it's when you wake up the phone or when you put it to bed, or maybe the certain days like a Sabbath, you're going to put it away, or maybe you take certain apps off your phone. So you force yourself to go on a desktop, which is not as much fun to go and look that thing up. Lots of different ways. So we're going to be
Yeah.
connecting over inside the Redeem Her Time community, where we'll share
So
about what's the
good.
boundary
Share
we're committed to this
ideas.
week. And then, yes, we'll cheer
Genius.
each other on.
Genius.
We'll share how it's going and ideas. And then I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
encourage you to make it all of July. But we're just starting with a week first because I know
Love
sometimes
it.
it feels scary and see how
Yeah.
it goes. Like I challenge you to see how much
Mm-hmm.
time do I actually get back?
Mm-hmm.
Am I more present? Am I less stressed? Am I like having more intentional, deep conversations? Am I spending
Yeah.
more time with the Lord? Like, am
Hmm.
I paying attention to what he's trying to say to me versus my head being filled with all the knowledge and information that's in there?
Hmm.
I may
Hmm.
not want to go back. I just want to say. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, if you guys are not members of the Redeem Her Time community, it's a group of Christian women who run businesses and ministries. We want to be faithful and fruitful with our time. And we know we can't do it alone. So, you can find us at redeemhertime.com/community. We'll link that down in the show notes. But go ahead. I want you to tell us about Wind Shape Camps, the work you're doing,
Yeah.
where you are in the country, because I know you have a couple different opportunities. So, as people are listening and whether they're thinking about their own
Hmm.
family or people they
Hmm.
know, yeah, how can they find you?
Yeah. Winshapecamps.org, WINSHAPE camps.org. And we have day camps across the country. We have overnight camps in Georgia. And so we might have one close to you. It's kindergarten through 11th grade, all the grades. But I would say, I think my charge to people is send your kids to camp somewhere,
Yes.
somewhere. Find somewhere to send them because it's beautiful. They get outside, they get in nature. Again, no technology. They're with counselors that are just these wonderful role models. They get to learn about Jesus and God and just be with other girls their age. They get to try new things. They get to do hard things. They get to go on adventures. It's such a win. And I did not get to grow up going to camp, which is probably one of the reasons I'm so passionate
Now you get to do
about it
it. Love it.
now. Yes, and my kids get to grow up going to camp, which I mean, they're at camp right now. They're having so much fun. I love it for them. And I just think send your kids to camp because
Mm,
they're going to get a benefit from it. You are going to get a benefit from it because they're going to come back different.
mm,
And you're going to have a week. Again, maybe you're able to do some of these things yourself while they're at camp to be able to take some steps in this direction for yourself. So it doesn't have to be us. We'd love to have you, but find a good camp that you trust in your area and send your kids to camp.
I love it. I love it. We moved to a camp when I was 2 weeks old. And my parents were on full-time staff at a camp. And then I went on to go to camp every summer as a kid and then work at a camp all summer long through college and even my first
Yeah,
couple years of marriage. So yeah,
so
it's just,
good.
it gets you out of your bubble, out of your element, gets you away
Yep,
from all the plugged,
it does.
plugged in stuff, gets you unplugged and connecting with the Lord and
Mm-hmm.
others. And I love
Yep.
camps. So we'll make sure to link wind shaped camps down below. So that way it could be a resource for you or someone you know. Please share that out. And if you know someone who also, you kind of have that like knowing look at each other, we probably shouldn't be so addicted to our devices. Send her this episode. Like, let's start rethinking our relationship with our digital devices and what boundaries we want to start putting around it and start redeeming that time, getting that time back to invest in the things that are not only going to matter, like we said, 10 minutes from now, 10 years from now, 100 years from now, but the things that are going to matter for eternity. That's
Mm-hmm.
really how we want to be investing our time. So thankful for you, Amy. I'm so glad that you're on joining us today and sharing your wisdom and your experience. And I know it's going to bless a lot of people who listen. I always love to end with a personal question for you directly. So right now it's literally, the middle of camp season. So it may be a little crazy. So you can answer this as for what you want to focus on right now, or maybe as you're phasing into your next season. One of our questions we ask is, what is it time for? And I think that really
Mm-hmm.
slows us down to the presence of our time and the purpose of our time.
Mm-hmm.
So you can answer it, like I said, in July mode, or if you want to be like,
Yeah.
hey, when it's September, this is what it's time for. Either way, how would you answer
Yeah.
that question? And why does a good return on that time matter to you?
I've mentioned it before, but I really think that it's time for me to soak up these moments with my kids because time is so going so fast. I'm a working mom. I have to work. I love to work, and I think work is so good, but they're growing up fast, and I want to soak up the time with them. So, again, even if you have little kids, soak it up because you'll be so glad that you took every moment seriously during those growing up years. We plan a million vacations. We're always doing things together, and I'm so glad that we're able to do that because like those are the memories that we're gonna
Yeah, I love that.
remember. Yeah, so
Yeah,
soaking up the time with my kids is what
yeah.
I would say.
I love that. And I will speak to all of you who are like me and we're empty nesters already. And my kids are literally spread across the country and on the other side of the globe. So nobody is in my time zone. Nobody can I actually look at face to face and have a conversation unless I'm using technology. So,
Mhm.
if your kids are far away, be intentional about how you're reaching out to them. It's so easy to go on Instagram or look at things that don't really matter as much as somebody who does. And so I think that can be a great way to stay connected wherever
Totally.
they are. So, all right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Amy. We appreciate you and all you had to share with us. Hope you have a really great and blessed rest of your summer at Wind Shaped Camps, and we can't wait to hear what God does. So, thanks for being here.
Thank you.